Hero or Villain, Satoshi, the Man Who Built Bitcoin by Mark Eggington. New book. I just got it in. Shout out to him. I haven't read it. I've just showed up. I want to also talk in this video a little bit about the updates regarding the Copa v. Wright case. Some of the things what to expect here that I'm seeing coming up. So check this out. All right, stay tuned to the end. All right, so first things first on the Copa v. Wright case. There's a couple things that should be mentioned and noticed, and one is there's been no ruling yet regarding the Justice Mehl findings on the injunction. So we're waiting on that. Once that comes down, then we're going to do a space. I'm going to do a space on X, invite everybody there, do a video, post it out there, and invite everybody in to talk about it and mastermind on what the heck it means and how it actually works and what the implications are. People are expecting it to be extremely harsh against Craig Wright, extremely negative against Dr. Wright. So, the worst possible scenario are what people are talking about expecting. So we'll see how it's going to come out. My limited perspective, I would say my prediction is they're probably going to issue a worldwide injunction gag order from him talking about Satoshi Nakamoto under his own, that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. They're probably going to issue basically the fines, the money damages for the amount they're asking for, the attorney fees of like $800 pounds an hour, which is I think it was like 30 million pounds, pretty high. And then then they were also going to do a referral to the criminal court for prosecution. That will come down afterwards, but just a referral. That's where I'm seeing. And all the allegations of perjury will be Justice Miller's opinion will be full of all of his opinion about where the perjury occurred so that he can then refer it over to the criminal court. That's what I believe will happen. Stay tuned for a show I'm going to do tomorrow with Mitch Berman. Really interesting stuff we're going to talk about on the game theory behind all this, what's going on. And, he's really, I think, done a great job like game theorying out with what's happening in this court case. Don't think for a second there aren't big players involved in this court case. That's not just Craig Wright on his own. I think Mitch believes that there's a much bigger game theory going on, and how that's going to play out, we're going to talk about tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I also recorded a little podcast on it. It didn't turn out very good, but I'll see if I can post it on my Spotify account just because it's interesting on the game theory approach. I just shot it in the car. Audio turned out like crap. But it's interesting on the game theory. So now check this out. Regarding the case, what's interesting is that Joel, who's with the Metad ICU, that's Joel, DILAIS, his X account is at Joel, DALAIS. Now he is the gatekeeper for the Metad ICU, which I joined and I got past the gatekeeper. Now that's where Dr. Wright is, and he's doing his classes on philosophy and other educational courses that he talks about. So what I think interesting is that Joel Dailies, he's the gatekeeper, right? So he's to Dr. Wright, basically. He's saying this, FYI, the 21 days for appeal has not started yet. I will not start until after Mehl has finished it will not start until after Mehl finishes his current stuff, the hearing. Thank you. Obviously, that's not from Craig, but it's from Joel. I would imagine that that Craig has influence over him. That's all I'm saying. I'm presuming that he has influence over him. So, and I'm because he obviously talks to him. I actually went into the group and I wanted to ask Dr. Wright about the court case, and immediately I was shut down. We're not allowed to ask about the court case into that group. So I can respect the rules and keep it about other subjects and just kind of be a fly on the wall too. But ultimately, my proposal was that once the gag order is lifted or this is done or whatever legal advice Dr. Wright has to follow, once that's done, I would extend him the opportunity, or I would like to extend a hand to let him have a platform and speak out about getting his message heard, because no one's heard from him. Everyone's heard against him. And, I think a lot of people want to know what he has to say in rebuttal to what's going on. And whenever that time is, the offer stands. In the meantime, stay by for a big space when that drops. It's going to be on X, at Gavin Mehl on X, and we'll host it up. We're going to freaking bring in a bunch of people to talk about the case, the legal stuff, and hear both sides of the story. Why Copa's, what's going to happen on appeal with Copa, what's going to happen on Craig Wright on appeal. Are they going to appeal? all those things. And ultimately, like Joel says here, it's 21 days after this ruling comes down, we'll know if he's going to appeal or not. Lastly, in this book, we got this new book by Mark Egginton, who I've spoken to on Twitter a few times, on and off. And, we've chatted, so I'd love to hear from him and talk with him at some point if he's still interested. But I'm interested in reading this book, excited to. You got this 200 pages, prologue, talks about end chain, talks about Mayfair, regroup, satire, proof, unmasked, Prometheus, the fire experiment Brett Banafy talks about, relocation, summit, exit, Genesis, of course, end chain. So this will be a fun read. Finally got a hold of it. So here's basically the back of the book. It says, in 2008, when the Bitcoin white paper was published online, the technology would forever change, would change the world forever. Hero/villain Satoshi, the man who built Bitcoin, tells the story of how an awkward Australian security specialist first created something revolutionary under the moniker Satoshi Nakamoto, and how he spent every moment thereafter either in self-imposed hiding or in court trying to perfect his invention. And let's see, initially intended to be a force of good that would allow people to transact directly and inexpensively online, it wasn't long before Bitcoin became something else, a store of value with a cast of powerful inventors hell-bent on manipulating it for their own gain. For the first time, the real inside story of Bitcoin is laid to bear, a story with greed, power, betrayal at its heart, with firsthand interviews from the man most likely to be Bitcoin's inventor and those who have fought with him to ensure Bitcoin fulfills its positive and potentially world-changing purpose. Hero, villain, Satoshi, the man who built Bitcoin, serves as an important book in the context of a world where cryptocurrency is in turmoil. $20 on Amazon right now, and you can pick up a copy. Go out and support the author, Mark, and, read a book, paperback book. It's like, feels good getting a book and reading it. It's so wonderful just actually enjoying a book, sitting up. It's a beautiful day out in California right now, but if there was a fire, sit by the fire. Right now, you go sit out in the sun and freaking get a suntan. There's such a big show coming up tomorrow with, I'm telling you, with Mitch. This, I think, is going to be one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to, man. I really am. This company that he's got going with Metad is a big deal. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be, I'm going to likely expecting to do it tomorrow and publish it tomorrow. All right. So that's my plan. Hopefully I can keep it to a limited time. But this guy is super interesting, and I don't think anybody even knows who he is. So you heard it here first. This is Gavin Mehl. We love SF. I'll see you at the top. Be sure to subscribe, share the video, support the author, and get the word out there, okay? Get it out there. Let's freaking do this, man. I will see you at the top.